chance he stays in the game. Base is full of Seminoles. Terrell to right field. He unloads. Grand slam.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. We have a brand new opening there. So that was Florida State playing against JMU this weekend down in Tallahassee, and the Noles told the Dukes to go back to Harrisonburg after a 3-game sweep. Yeah, so I'm Chris Heidel. That's George for sure, who's back after a couple weeks of playing, father figure. So, so how are you doing, George? How's everything? And you must be a proud dad. You had something to do on Sunday night with that dance thing. How did it go?
Their snowball dance was pretty darn good. But let me tell you, Chris, I went and got the car washed before so the kids can have a great ride going to the snowball.
Mm-hmm.
They got to learn how to plow the roads, dude. 2 days after a snowstorm, my car was more dirty after I got it cleaned.
Jeez, that's crazy.
Thinking that the main roads would be clear, the main roads were the absolute worst. But
jeez.
No, it's tough seeing your young one, your only child going to her first formal dance.
Yeah,
semi-formal dance, and it's definitely a moment.
Did you shed a tear? Because I know every father does the first time they see their daughter coming down the stairs, and they're all dressed up, and they're like, "Oh my God!" Yeah.
I've had a lot of those moments.
Hey, it's okay to cry. It's okay.
Oh, absolutely. I don't hide it.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna bawl once my niece when she turns 18. I'm like, oh, what happened to the little one that used to be really nice?
Yep.
Yeah. And our good friend Steve Zillage is not here tonight. He's on assignment, but he'll be back next Tuesday night. Adam Vermeis is filling in, our go-to bullpen guy, our crafty right-hander. We have to bring him out. Sometimes we don't know until game time that I have to bring him out of the pen. So so he probably has a couple more innings left with him because he might have a jello arm. From
Yep.
Exactly. We're waiting for in 2 minutes. We're waiting for the head coach of Southern University, Chris Crenshaw. They are playing the Towson Tigers this weekend in Baton Rouge, along with LSU. So we'll be joining. Hopefully, he'll be joining us shortly. And then Paul Cantabene, who is the Stevenson University Division III lacrosse coach here in Maryland, he'll be joining us at 7:48 around there. So some interesting games this weekend for baseball. Besides waiting for Major League Baseball to figure out what they're doing. So what do you think, George? What do you think the timetable for Major League Baseball? Will they be ready for March 31st, or are we going to be April 30th?
April 30th.
I'm thinking April 30th.
April 30th.
Yeah, they have to get it done. They have to get an agreement done by this Saturday or next Monday, to actually be able to play on March 31st.
Yep.
When you think about this, Chris, this is grown men arguing about money.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And with the pandemic, we went through a pandemic, and you saw back in 2020 when they were fighting over how many games they were playing, and are you going to allow fans in the stands and all that stuff? And now it's like they're back to squabbling again. It's like this.
I can't remember when baseball last had back-to-back bargaining sessions that ended up with lockouts. It's very weird as of recent that there's been more Major League Baseball lockouts than in years past.
Exactly. Well, while we're waiting for Coach Crenshaw to join us, George, back on this date in 1980, there's a big date in U.S. sports history. The Miracle on Ice it happened.
Gotta believe, man. Yeah. Gotta believe.
Exactly. And that was actually Al Michaels' signature moment. That brought him the the accolades to who has him as a broadcaster, because he wasn't really that known until that call.
I'm just frustrated. It's been 42 years.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Chris, were you even born?
No, I was born in 1981, but my parents got me some. I have an old winter hat that it was from the Lake Placid.
Yeah, Chris. Unfortunately, I was 8 years old. So if you do the math,
what was it like watching it? Did you watch it when you were 8 years old?
I don't even think I probably was in bed.
You probably were.
Being 8 years old. But Chris, it's the absolute best sports movie. People will talk about, me being an ND guy thinking that Rudy's the best movie. No, I would say that Miracle has to be the best. Has to be the best hockey movie.
Well,
just to sit in and listen with Coach, and then I love it because I love the again. Until they finally figure out and remember who they're playing for. Right. They're not playing for their college. They're not playing for the name on the back of the jersey. They're playing for the United States of America.
Exactly, and I agree with you. And this is why we forget sometimes. Look at it. This is back in 1980 when we were going through a lot of issues with Iran, other situations. We just got done with the oil issue, for gasoline.
We had the Cold War going on too, Chris.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was the whole thing.
That's right, George. That's right.
Yeah, the Cold War. Yeah, now we're having, and the funny thing is we're having another situation like that with the Ukraine-Russian situation.
42 years later.
Yeah. So that's we're still waiting for Coach Crenshaw to join us here from Southern University, the Jaguars, who they're actually well known for football, George, because they played in that Southern versus Grambling game that normally used to be on NBC.
Yep.
Yeah. Do they still play that?
Yes, they do. They sure do.
They still do? Because it's not televised anymore, is it? Because normally
I think it's on. It was on. I think it was on NBC Sports Network, and now that that channel's gone, I'm going to assume it's going to be broadcast either on NBC or USA Network.
Okay.
In the fall. Okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that because it's interesting with the. So speaking of that, let's bring in Coach Crenshaw here. Yeah. Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
How you doing, Coach?
How you doing? I'm fine.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing?
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on tonight. Good way to start the season last weekend. Taking 2 out of 3, and now you have to go to Baton Rouge and play Towson and LSU.
Yeah, we got Missouri tomorrow night. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just talk about playing against LSU, because you guys are neighbors. So how far are you guys from the LSU campus? I was trying to ask a coworker of mine this morning because he's from that area, and he couldn't tell me how far.
It's about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. So
you can sleep in your own bed.
Yeah.
You don't have to get up there. You all can just take your own cars over there and just park it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm thinking about doing it, actually. Save us some money on travel.
That's a good idea.
There you go.
It's a good idea. So, talk about your team. If folks from Towson are going to be watching the game this weekend on, I think it's probably on like one of those SEC networks or.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Oh, so we will be playing Towson on TV.
I think so. We might be. I don't know. I can look into that. I'll give you.
I know we probably play LSU to be on TV, but I doubt the Towson game.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you never know. They broadcast everything,
Yeah.
ESPN will find something to do for that day and go, oh, okay, we'll put that on. Yeah. So last year you guys made it to the regionals, for the Austin regionals. I know you guys played all the way to the elimination game. So what did you guys learn from playing in that regional that probably helped you to start the season off pretty well?
Those strikes. If we ain't learned anything else, we learned we need to throw it over the plate to give ourselves a chance. We got behind in counts in the Austin regional. You get behind in counts with those type of hitters, they make you pay for it. So this fall, this fall we talked about getting ahead of hitters, and so far we've been getting ahead, and it's been real good for us.
Yeah, George, go ahead.
So, Coach, the best thing that you can go out there is win the weekend, right? That's goal number one, right? We come out
Yeah.
of 2 out of 3, you brush off from the one loss and you move on. With your schedule this week, I mean, typically coaches, they like to prepare for one team when they go in. You're going to be seeing 3 different teams between the 23rd and the 27th, and you see Towson and Louisiana in the same. You see Towson and Louisiana in the same day. So your scouting reports it's important, one, not to get them mixed up, right? But
Right.
how is it? Because you have to adjust for 2 different styles of baseball.
Oh, for sure. We're really not so much worried about what they do. We need to focus on what we do, because for us, this is us getting ready for conference play. If we don't win our conference, we don't make it to the postseason. So we using these games to get reps, get ready. We want to win, of course, but we're getting ready. We're preparing for our regular season. So got to run different guys out there, different lineups to try to get people some time. So we just focused on us. We got to play against the ball. We're not playing against the other team, basically.
And guys, that's a coach's answer right there.
Yeah,
that is the answer I expect from any coach.
Oh yeah.
that's one of those questions that you probably do at the press conference. That's what you get, like move on. Instead of those quacky questions that are like, Coach, how do you feel after beating? I'm like, yeah, we lost 25-6. What do you think how we feel? Like, I feel really happy. I want to go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal. Come on, Jesus.
Yeah. No, we're just trying to get reps, get guys ready to see who can help us when the games really matter.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adam, real quick.
Yeah. Now you took over for a legendary head coach at Southern University, Roger Kador. So tell us so when you heard you were taking over as the head baseball coach for a legend like Roger, what were your emotions?
So I played for Coach Kadar, so it meant a lot to come back and coach. Of course, I still talk to him all the time. So he's around. He lets me know it when he's here.
Does he give you like an early morning phone call?
Nah.
This voice, right? I'm coming in.
No early morning calls. He normally calls like right at lunchtime.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hey, he's retired. He can do whatever he wants to do,
Right.
Yeah. But does he
moving around about midday?
Yeah. Does he actually call you and go, this voice?
Nah.
Yeah, I know. He probably had fun with you and try to help you out. But how is it like working, still have him around? Because a lot of coaches, when they, leave their program, they started that you're never around, or they do something else. And, you see it at Florida State, Bobby Bowden still, was around before he passed away. And, other schools, like Lou Holtz is still, moving around, Notre Dame, and all that stuff. What was it like having him still there, knowing that you could call him up and say, Coach, can you help me with the situation?
Yeah, he has a lot of wisdom. He did it. He was a head coach for 33 years, 43 years, something like that. He knows a lot. He's seen a lot, been through a lot. And I'm just in my second year as a head coach, so it always helps to have somebody that's been in it for a while to call. And he's actually been here, so he could steer me in the right direction on stuff I need to do on campus, or just stuff I need to do at the field, or anything. He's seen it all, so it's always good to have somebody who's been through it all to be there with you.
Yeah. Well, one last question before we let you go. With Towson, you have never played them before. How do you get ready for a team early in the season, knowing that, and now everybody would film and you could go on YouTube and grab whatever you could see on YouTube, and you get like scouting reports from different organizations who play against Towson? Like, did Miami send you something from last weekend and say, hey, we saw this and this and this?
I need to check with my assistants. I haven't seen. We haven't got that far yet. We were focused on Missouri, so we've been working on the Missouri scouting report, putting that together to get ready for tomorrow. And then after tomorrow night, we turn the page and get ready for Townsend, and then we get ready for LSU. So
that's right.
We ain't got that far yet. I'm sure my assistant's been on it, but I haven't seen a report on Towson yet.
Right. Well, first of all, take good luck for tomorrow. Yeah, I know you get one game at a time. That's a good good thing to say. Let's get one game at a time, and everybody's still 0-0 when they play each other. So you win one, you're 1-0, and keep moving down the road. And good luck this weekend at Baton Rouge with LSU and Towson.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully we go 1-0 tomorrow, and look to go 1-0 on Friday.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Coach.
That's it.
Bye.
All right, that's Coach Chris Crenshaw from Southern University joining us from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So 7:46. Yeah, George, it's really very interesting hearing different organizations when they do their stuff. How they plan and but everything's now on YouTube, so I could pull off like clips from somebody from a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like there's no like back in the old days when you and I were growing up, you had to go get I was in high school and I asked somebody, how'd you get all the film for the high school teams? Like, well, we had to go talk to the coach and they mailed it to us and we have to put it in and in the VCR. Now it's like we just go online and here you go.
Everyone's got some type of taping mechanism.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So, folks, it's 7:46. We're coming up in a couple minutes. We'll have the coach from Stevenson University joining us, Paul Cantabene, will join us from Stevenson University, lacrosse Division III, a lot of lacrosse here in the state of Maryland. We got Division I, II, and III. So I think last weekend there was a big lacrosse game between Maryland and Syracuse, and I didn't realize Syracuse has their own defensive coordinator was Dave Petramala, the guy from Hopkins, who now he's on Syracuse as a defensive coordinator. That's pretty interesting how small world everything is here in Maryland with lacrosse.
Well, the East Coast is like the hotbed of lacrosse, so.
Oh yeah.
Well, you're out
on the East Coast.
Yeah, George, you're in Indiana. Did they talk about Notre Dame lacrosse, or are they just like it's like a blurb on the sports desk?
Oh no. I mean, lacrosse is big here in high school too. Mm-hmm. So it's a growing sport, and it's a pretty big pre-college sport in this area too, along with soccer. So no, but there's just lots happening. None of it's outside yet.
Yeah.
We won't discuss the weather.
I saw your weather map on your Facebook today. You're like, yes, it is potential snowstorm.
Again, another Thursday, Friday storm.
Jeez.
So there's no way that they can. There's no way for them to get outside and even think about practicing out on the stadium. So
wow, that's crazy.
It's just crazy.
Well, we know lacrosse here in the state of Maryland. They play even, and you probably see in North Carolina, Adam. They do play in cold weather.
Oh yes, they do. Yes, they. Oh yeah. North Carolina Duke ain't afraid to play outside.
Your cold weather is different than our cold weather.
Yeah, exactly.
The ground's frozen.
Exactly. It's frozen in November.
Yes.
Yep.
So let's bring in the head coach of Stevenson University, and Paul Cantabene with us. Hey, Paul, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, guys. Thanks for having me.
I hope I didn't butcher your last name. Did I do a good job with that? Or
you're fine. You're good.
All right, because I've been trying really hard to fix the last names, and sometimes I'm like, oh god, after a while.
No problem. A little slap afterwards from me.
Yeah, my girlfriend will slap me too afterwards. Like you didn't do a good job. Yeah. So
I've been married for 18 years, and how that feels.
Exactly. Well, you guys played last weekend. How was opening weekend for you guys? You played, I'm going to butcher the name. I'm not going to say it, so it's really hard to say it. But, talk about that game. You guys are at home. You did a great job beating them.
Yeah, we opened up with a 20th ranked Ursinus at our place and had a good go. And it was Midwest weather. I think we had, it was about, 16 degrees outside with the wind chill because, this past Saturday was miserable everywhere, I guess. So, but we got a good W out of it. I think the guys played really hard. and he played great defensively. And we had a couple new faces. Our face-off guy's a new guy, and he played great. And 3 of our top 6 middies are freshmen, and they really fit in well and played well for freshmen in their first game especially. So we were happy with how we played, and especially the toughness we played. And I think that was really great to see us play with that kind of toughness in those conditions and be so successful. So we're happy where we are, but as they say, we got 16 more regular season games to go, and we play a good Colorado team that lost their first 2 games. That was number 7 in the country last year, so they're off to a rough start. So, but we know they're going to be desperate and ready to go, and we got to be ready to play Saturday night at our home field and protect that. So that's important to us.
So you play in the same conference as Salisbury and York College. So if people got used to your conference, those are 2 popular. Plus, you guys. 3 teams are really good in that conference, but Salisbury is always that team that everybody's trying to knock off every year.
Yeah, Salisbury we used to be in their conference. It was called the Capital. I think it was the Capital CAC, Capital Athletic Conference, and that doesn't exist anymore. Now Salisbury's in a C coast to coast conference. Okay. And they're a Pool B team now because they don't have enough lacrosse teams in them to be an automatic bid. But York is in our conference, in the MAC conference, and we split with them last year, and they're pretty good. So our conference is overall pretty good top to bottom. I think they're number 5 in the country right now, and we're number 12 or 13 in the country right now. And Eastern's had a great year last year. They were ranked, and Widener's pretty good, and Messiah. So all the teams in our conference, I think, are getting much better, and it's good. So we've had a long storied rivalry with Salisbury, so we beat them plenty, and they beat us more than we beat them, unfortunately. So, but we can't wait to play them again this year, and and get after it. But Salisbury has been one of those teams everybody wants to beat. So I in particularly like beating them.
I think everybody wants to. I think Rochester last year beat it with the in the overtime with that buzzer. It was a good game. It was a really good game at the end of in that game. So, but
Salisbury kind of blew it right there at the end. They had the ball and they kind of just made a little bit of mistake there, and that's what RIT does to you. They make you pay for those little mistakes around the midfield line. That's what they're really good at.
Is that stuff that you guys work on in practice? During the week before games, trying to not have those mental errors.
Well, you try, the situational things you work out, up 1 with a minute to go, up 2, the 2 minutes to go, up 1, 30 seconds to go, doubling the ball, trying to do that. So those are all scenarios that we actively practice. We do those scenarios typically on Wednesday and Thursday to go through them so everybody knows what they have to do. But those are chaotic situations, so things kind of happen. And sometimes they're out of your control. You can practice them all you want, but when get in those situations. But RIT does what they do great is that they're great on restarts. So as soon as the ball's in the restarts, they're just a little quicker than everybody else, and they do a great job, especially with all the the Canadians they have. We like to call them Team Canada since they have about 30 Canadians on their team. But Rochester, they use that to their advantage because the University of Rochester has 8,000 international students. So it's a little bit easier to get those Canadians in when you have 8,000 international students. Like Stevenson has 15. So it's a little different.
Wow. George, go ahead.
So, Coach, I've been covering lacrosse now probably for the last 3 years up here in South Bend. And my experience has said that you got to win 3 stats: the ground balls, the face-offs, and the clears. You guys clearly did that this past weekend. But you were also able to get 9 guys to score, which is fabulous because some teams become so one-dimensional that you have the same guy scoring over and over again. But you're able to get that ball spread around and, get it, have 9 different scores over the course of that game.
Yeah, so we were lucky to do that. I think, what we kind of preach is that, we're the sum of our parts. We don't want to have to rely on one guy to score 10 goals a game for us in order for us to be successful. And so we want everybody to spread the wealth and let the ball do the work. And if a guy's open, throw it to him. Let him do this job. I think everybody does their job and they understand what they need to do. Then we're going to be real successful. I think when we get outside of that and we start to try to go, I need to make a play here, I need to make a play there, we get in trouble. Or you premeditate, I haven't shot the ball in a while, so when I go in here, I'm going to get a shot. So we got to understand the situations that we put ourselves in. And I think our guys did a really good job of that. We're the sum of our parts, and we're going to be really good that way. We think we have 9 offensive guys that can do a lot of things and interchange and play different positions, attack midfield, attack from different parts of the field. And we think that helps us be a better team because all 9 of our guys, I think, are all former attackmen. So that we use, so they're playing midfield. So I think that really helps us do things different. But, clearing the ball is very important to us. I don't think we did a great job of that in our first game. I think we made some poor choices. We have to get better. Typically you clear at 90%, you're going to be a really good team. We only cleared about 75% in that game. And so we got to get better at that. And, we did win the ground ball award. That's one of those most important factors. And face-offs for us were very good. So, those are some of the things we do. But, spreading the ball around and having different scores really helps instead of having to worry about one guy trying to do everything.
Hey, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. Now I'm assuming, last year you guys played a shortened season, because of COVID. So tell us what it's like to play a normal schedule this year, compared to last year.
Well, last year, it's great just to be able to go out to practice without having to take anybody's temperature, without having to do any symptom checkers, without having to tell the guys to stay away from each other, without telling them to pull up their masks. Those are things that I'm glad, I hope I never have to do again. So this year has been much easier doing that, especially with a lot of the restrictions that have been moved and us being able to practice. But last year we played 11 games and we're 9-2, and I think we ended up ranked number 12 in the country. But it was more of a, last year was just hard on everybody because, the seniors didn't get to know the freshmen. The freshmen had to stay in the dorms. Seniors were off campus, and we couldn't have any visitors on campus. Made it tough. And all the things that we had to do, like when we went on a road trip, we had to take pictures of the bus. We had to take their temperatures. We couldn't go inside. So like our first game last year, we were going to Stevens Tech. We had to be on the bus. They take everybody's picture. You had to be masked for a 3.5-hour drive to Stevens Tech. Then you get there and they don't give you a locker room. You have to change outside. And when we played Stevens last year in March 20, whatever that last weekend of February was, it was 15 degrees outside and 20-mile-an-hour winds off the Hudson. So it was a little different. So we had to change outside, couldn't even tape, and then you had to play the game, and then we couldn't go back inside afterwards because everybody's all worried about this. And so it was just really, and then you had to be masked on the way back. Guys had to eat at different times. It's just what you had to do in order to, it wasn't really even about the game. I couldn't even worry all the things you had to deal with. So we're really happy that the kids are having a better experience this year with everything. And I think that's one of the big things with the kids. The mental handicaps they went through last year was tremendous because he couldn't be a normal person. You couldn't talk to people. You couldn't say, let me go play some Xbox. Hey, can we just talk? And I'm going to go to this guy's room. Guys would get in trouble. They went to another person's room because you weren't allowed to go to each other's rooms. And so that's really hard for, especially when the freshmen in the dorms, to do all that and go through all those protocols. And so I don't think we've seen the damage that COVID has done to our younger kids yet. I think you're going to start to see the damage over the next 2 or 3 years of all these kids and what they had to go through, and things are coming out. So we have to be very supportive of our kids' mental health and what they're going through and all that stuff, and see, because they're just not. You just see some kids, they're just not normal. These kids haven't been our freshmen. They haven't been in 2 years of this crap, they're going through. So it's just really hard on them. And I think that we haven't seen the damage. So we're really excited to be where we are, to be able to play, be in the locker room, to do all these things now. And it makes life a lot easier. That's for sure. And I think every coach in the country is very happy for where we are. And we just hope that we can stay there and not retreat.
Yeah. So how fast was your team getting dressed at 15 degrees? How fast? Did you time them?
Pretty fast. So you pulled up. You get out of the bus, and there's a dorm of people right there, and you're getting changed right in front of the dorm because you can't get in there. So it's these are the things you had to do last year in order to play, and that those are tight situations. You had to do. So it was hard. So, but I don't recommend getting changed outside for a game, for a lacrosse game. I don't recommend that.
Yeah, back to Paul. Back to last year. How tough was it for you as a coach? Because you had to go for something you have never been. You weren't trained for this stuff. This is something that was brand new, and nobody had a playbook, and no one had an idea of what's going on, and you had to wait for. You had a game on, say, Saturday. You have to wait until somebody gets a positive test, and you're sitting there going, "Are we playing this weekend, or what's going on?" And
it was really, really hard. So we went really good until our second game of the season. And then we had a couple kids pop positive, and then we had a couple kids not feel well, and so they quarantined them. And then maybe we shouldn't play this weekend. And then we had a couple close contacts pop positive, so we didn't play. We got shut down for 3 weeks, and so all of a sudden you get shut down for 3 weeks. You can't be with your team. It's really hard, and so then you have to go through return to play protocols, and then you have to go how are you going to get these guys back? Then there's cardiac testing they have to do. They have to see get their wellness thing. The doctor has to approve them come back. So last year, if a kid got COVID, for us, it's 27 days before they can play again. They go through.
Wow.
day process. And so that killed the kid. If he got COVID, he was pretty much done for the year, because when they came back, they couldn't do anything. It was just really, really, really hard. And so we had to prepare your whole team and everybody to play and to do that. And so those protocols and things that we had to do. And so when you're waiting, like, get the first phone call, like, hey, what's hard is that you take the test. What we had to do, you take the test, and then on Wednesday, and then you wait to Thursday noon to get your test back. So you got emailed that. Yeah. And so even everybody's testing, like sometimes they didn't come back. All of a sudden you're freaking out because they say the positive tests always take longer. So all of a sudden you're checking your phone every 2 seconds. When is this coming in? You're starting to sweat. It's just crazy how it goes. Then you get it. All of a sudden you feel this great relief, and then all of a sudden you feel, if you get positive, you're like, oh my God, I just cost the team. So it's really hard. So like our worst case scenario we had was in the NCAA tournament, because the NCAA tournament made everybody rapid test. Okay. Your dress roster. And so we had one kid that went in there, and they came back and says, your test was inconclusive. It means that it wasn't positive. It just means his test didn't work. And he had to do it again. So he had to wait an extra 30 minutes exactly to get his negative test. And so he's sweating the whole time, and they're going, oh my God, I think I just cost my team the NCAA tournament because if I'm positive, we probably can't continue in the close contact. So he had to sit there for 30 minutes until this test came back, while all the other guys all know that he's waiting for him. So it was just a terrible situation that these kids have to go through with all the testing and figure out what they do. And we're a Division III school, so we're not like Duke. Hey, Duke basketball, hey, we got a whole quarantine. We got the dorm. We're all good. Our guys got their own tutors and all done. We got all these resources, and we don't have those. And so it's really hard to do that and go through. And the sacrifices our guy made, even told us, like, you can't have a girlfriend, basically. Like, you just can't, because I don't control your girlfriend. Right? If your girlfriend wants to go out and live the dream, that's great. Let her do that. But if she comes back from COVID, gets it at a bar, and she comes back and gives it to you, and you give it the team, we're done. And so the sacrifices these guys had to make, they couldn't go see family. You couldn't do anything, because what's the best way to get COVID? Go see your family, right? And that's how it happened, basically.
Right.
So, what they went through and all those things is just
really.
Don't ever want to do it again. And it's just a really hard thing to do. And as a coach, to do all that, to go through all that, it's tough, because even when we got shut down, I wrote a 130 page report about how to get us back in the field, giving them data, because what we did is temper checked every time. We had a family that donated us a facial recognition thing that checked the guys every time they came into the building. They did that. We could only have 20 guys in the room at the time. We had to prove all these things. So I wrote this huge report about how we can get back to do it. And then it had to be approved by Baltimore County, because Baltimore County runs everything here, and go through there and their protocol. And so, it just went on and on. It was like, and then every day something would change. They go, no, Paul, that was yesterday. They said that, now it's changed to this. And then 3 hours later, they go, no, this is what we're doing now. So we were always, as a coach, just trying to go, just tell me what I need to do. And it would change by the day. And then you try to talk to your families about what's going on, and they're confused. But we did a great job keeping everybody, I think, up to date to get the best we can. And we were lucky to play 11 games. And awesome. That I thought, and some other teams didn't play any. So getting 11 was a huge success for us.
That's true. Well, Paul, thanks for coming on tonight, and good luck this weekend with the whiteout against Colorado College. Hopefully the weather's good, and you guys don't have to worry about that garbage anymore, and you can get back to normal. Yeah. It's
going to be 70 tomorrow, and then on Saturday it's going to be like 34. So
I know it's like why can't you play tomorrow? Yeah,
just move it up. Yeah, that's my fault. We're pushing the weather east. I'll take it for you, Coach.
Need Mother Nature to blow the weather north. Get it out of here so we can go.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. Let New England have it.
All right, Paul. We'll talk to you soon.
I'm from Rochester. I had more snow in a lifetime than I don't need to see any more. Thanks, guys.
All right. See you later. Have a good one.
Bye.
Yeah, that is tough for Paul to go through. It's all these protocols and all these it's like God. Like we're looking back on it now. Like we actually had to go through that in 2021.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Chris.
Yeah.
The closest I had to deal with Coach had to deal with, was when we were going out to California for the marching band's participation in the Hollywood Christmas Parade. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go through the PCR test 3 days before, because going out to LA, we would not have been able to get into Universal Studios, and there would have been a problem with going into the parade. Okay.
Okay.
So we had to get a rapid test 3 days before the trip. We're sitting there in the high school auditorium,
Mm-hmm.
and it's bullets, man. You're sweating bullets. Am I gonna pass? Am I gonna pass?
Yeah.
Or this is the one test that you don't want to fail.
No.
You don't want to come back with a positive. This is the one time a positive is a negative. And luckily on that trip, Chris, nobody tested positive prior to going out, which is when you're talking 180 people going out to California and they all had to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody tested positive.
Jeez.
Cool.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah. But like with me and Nicole, we just had this problem in January. She had a cold and she got, we had to get a chest x-ray and all that stuff. And then I had to take a test and I tested positive, but there was no symptoms. So I sat home for 14 days for Home Depot and got paid for it.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I know. And now everything's changed to like 5 days and, you got to go back. And I'm like, yeah. But it's like what I was just saying, we went through this stuff in 2021 and looking back on it, it's like, we're like, wow, how do we didn't go nuts after a while? Yeah.
Chris, everyone's written off 2020 when this all started.
Yeah.
So this was in 2021 season. You're talking 2 seasons of lacrosse.
Yeah.
It started, they got shut down. They didn't have a 2020 season.
No.
All that stuff shut down.
Right.
So it's really tough getting a program up and running again.
Yeah. It's crazy. And, and with the, like this thing, this whole COVID thing started the week of Nicole's birthday. It was the 27th of February. And then that's the first case we heard about here in Maryland. And then I think around my birthday,
March 13th.
Yeah, I was going to head out to your neck of the woods for the Big Ten basketball tournament. And the night before, some guy from from Nebraska, the coach got sick and they had to put him in the locker room because they didn't know what it was. So they played without a coach, And then like the next morning they were going to go, okay, we're going to have nobody. We're going to play in front of nobody.
Yep. And
then all of a sudden, like around, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, I just remember like listening to the radio going, everything just shut down.
Yep.
I remember.
Yeah, Major League Baseball shut down. Done. Yeah, it's like
Notre Dame women were getting ready to go out for a basketball game. They were there. They were on the court, and they got pulled off the court
at the ACC tournament in Greensboro. And I was called. I mean, the first time I heard about COVID was Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz, and I was like, they had the announcement at I believe they were playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they said everyone had to evacuate. I was like, what? I was like,
yeah.
It was, I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And then you had no spring sports, no softball, no lacrosse, no.
It was fun to watch.
And it was like,
sports.
What's going on?
Yeah, Adam and George, it was fun watching sports in 2020 because they were throwing throwback videos of and then we had Korean baseball at like 5 a.m. Everybody's like, we want to watch Korean baseball, and then you had Carl Ravitch sitting at home in his like little hut upstairs in his bedroom doing the game from a computer. I'm like, really, So speaking of baseball, if they ever get a season, this gentleman Paul O'Neill is going to be getting his jersey retired, and yes, I did show some Met highlights here. Yeah, I know.
Paulie baseball.
Yeah.
Legend in New York. Legend of the Yankees.
Yep. Well, he started with the Cincinnati Reds. Did you realize that? He won the World Series with the Reds in 1990.
Yep.
And then he got traded to New York and stayed in New York for the rest of his career. But he was actually, a Cincinnati Red, and he was that young right fielder. That there's a video of him kicking the baseball. Yeah. Often trying to kick it to the second baseman. So that's pretty interesting. So that's on August 21st of this year. Of the Yankees, if there is baseball,
23rd Yankee to get a number retired.
How many jerseys they need to retire? They're running out of numbers. They're going to be like 1B, 1C, 1E.
So my joke about that, Chris, is that they're going to go close to what you're saying. Is they're going to start going. They run out of numbers, so they're going to have to go letters A, B, C.
Now batting, number A.
Letter A. Now batting, letter A.
Derek Jeter.
Letter A.
Letter A.
Man.
Jesus. So coming over, we were supposed to have the Calvert Hall hockey coach joining us here, but he had a scheduling conflict, so we'll get him on next week on March 1st, our first March show of the year, and also we'll have some we'll get ourselves into more basketball because it's going to start conference tournament time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Man. March Madness here, almost.
Yeah, exactly. March Madness. It actually started this week down here in Maryland. They have the CIAA tournament, with all the historic black colleges playing, and they have everybody in Baltimore City playing at the old Civic Center or First Mariner or whatever you want to call it. They call it the big chicken box. I'm like, okay, because Rural Farms is the sponsor of the arena. So it's like, okay, people, get a new one. So I had the privilege to talk to this gentleman. Bowie State University's he's actually retired now, but he's actually going to be working with the tournament this week. Greg Goings, who gave us here at Herbert FM Radio an opportunity to broadcast road games for Bowie State football a couple years ago, and it was fun, George. If you were here in Maryland, I think you probably would have gone with me to these games. I think you would have enjoyed them.
Probably.
We had a place. They gave us a place to sleep. They gave us free food, and they paid us, money for travel.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know it wasn't that much, like $700 for the whole season, but I don't care. That was great. They gave us, money for us to spend for gas, and I went to places I'd never been before, like Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester.
Chris.
Worcester.
Exactly.
Worcester. But it's funny, we were up there for Assumption University, and some nitwit who was the Notre Dame head coach went to Assumption University. We're not mentioning names, right?
The name never to be mentioned.
Okay.
He goes up there with the word, people are like, you don't want to talk about these people. He goes for right there. It's like, you're like, I hope he rots. Yeah. I hope something. Back to before we go talk to, I played this first of three with Mr. Goings here, but he's going to find out how you can't beat Alabama. He's going to cry. I can see. I really want to get is a SEC Media Day badge to go down to Atlanta and just listen to his garbage. And just look at him and like, what kind of crap are you feeding these people? Yeah.
I typically have a lot to say, Chris, about a topic.
Yeah, I know. We'll have the podcast later with George.
if there's a way to keep me quiet, talk about that topic.
Exactly.
Oh,
but let's go to the video.
I know where you're going.
To the videotape.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome this evening. We have a good friend of ours. Years ago here on this station, we did some Bowie State football games, and this gentleman gave us an opportunity to do some games. And we were up on the road, and there's Gregory Goings, who used to be the sports information director at Bowie State University, and now he's living the high life of a retirement. But he's he got inducted in the Hall of Fame of the CIAA this week down in Baltimore. So it's pretty cool that he got inducted in the Hall of Fame. So I was just reading your bio a little bit before you came on. Not bad for a guy who was going to work for Pizza Hut.
Exactly. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Not what I envisioned, but that's the path that life took me, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So talk about that. You went to Virginia State, Virginia Union, down in Petersburg, Virginia. I've been down there a couple times.
I went to Virginia State, not Virginia Union.
State, yeah. And then when did you start thinking about being a sports information director? Is it one day you just woke up and go, I want to stay in?
Wow. Like I said, when I got to Virginia State, my initial thought when I initially declared a major supposed to be an accounting major. And that wasn't working out too well for me. I said, I may want to try to change that a little bit. So I went the business administration path. And from there, they started a food marketing, food industry management program. I said, oh, yeah, that sounds good. So I got into that. And stayed there, stayed in there, got my degree, but never worked a day in the restaurant business until after I moved back to the DC area back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but sports information started for me. I started out as the bookkeeper for the men's basketball team back in the early 80s, I just say. And the sports information director at the time, the late Count Conaway, said to me, "You've got a good handwriting." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess that's good."
Like, thanks.
Yeah, I guess that's good. And from that, he started me doing the cumulative game statistics by hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, by hand with a calculator while everybody's on the bus sleep coming home from a game. My light is the only one burning. I'm compiling cumulative stats from that. Jeez. And it just stuck around with me for a while, and I got interested in it, and ended up staying around and working on some more education things, and I just kind of fell into it, and I'm glad I did. As I said, I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, and then before that, after that, you went to the radio business. You did some disc jockeying, and how was it like doing some hey, this is
I had a ball in radio. That's when I actually moved back to the DC area in 1984.
Okay.
And I was trying to get into radio before I came back here, and nothing worked out. And soon after I moved back, about 9 months later, I got a call from a station in Petersburg, and said they had an opening, and to do the production side of radio, and I did a weekend air shift, and I was like, wow, okay. So after moving back home, I moved right back to Petersburg 10 months later, and took a job at a radio station, and actually loved it. But come think about it, before I moved back, I got my first job on air was at a small adult contemporary station in Hopewell, Virginia. Very small. I mean, small AM. It's probably as large as this hotel room that I'm in right now. but that's where I got my first experience. But literally, with that, their format changed overnight.
Oh, wow.
I was working Saturday nights and Sunday nights. And Saturday, I get there early just to pull my music out for my first hour, just get going. I'm like, okay. I come back Sunday early, pull my, wait a minute, what is this? No, I don't know. So it went from adult contemporary to country.
Oh, no.
Now just imagine, it's shocked. I was not like, country, okay. But then I actually started listening. I'm like, I like it.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then on Sunday also, I had it was part of the first hour of my shift from 6 to midnight. They had this show called the Elvis Extravaganza, which was hosted by a Hopewell police officer, a guy named Kenny Page. And we had a great relationship.
Wow. And
that's how radio started. But I ended up moving back to the DC area, and I can't talk today. Yeah. And back into it, and here is where I am today.
Yeah. So after that experience, you were you did the corporate thing, you were at Chevy Chase Bank, and then and then some university kept calling you, and you're like,
somebody kept calling me.
Okay,
they kept calling me, and I'm like, can I help you? What can I do for you? That kind of thing. Right. It was good to know that I was still thought of in the industry and kind of respected in the industry, and they came after me, and as I've said many times to many other people that I've talked to, they made offers, and I said, no, I don't want to do it anymore, and kept made. I said, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And I said, it's not about money for me, and it really wasn't about a salary, if you will, at that point, even though we all love money. Mm-hmm. But I was like, but then they made that one offer, I can't turn that down. I can't turn that. Plus, my wife said, where you're happy. So go work where you're happy. Now, mind you, when I was at Chevy Chase Bank doing sales, I loved the job because it was Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I loved it. No weekends, no late night stuff. I'm like, okay. But then all that changed.
Yeah, I remember all the emails when you were with Bowie State. I get emails like on Saturday, Sunday, late at night. It's like
all hours of the night.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
does the guy ever sleep? I can get like the correction email, like you messed something up. Like, sorry about that.
Right.
Like, okay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So Bowie. All right, folks. Welcome back here. That was a very good. First of the three, part 1 of 3 of with Coach with Mr. Goings here. We'll put him on next week as a fielder. So let's bring in the head coach of York College. A friend of mine, Jared Welsh, does the men's games, but he does occasionally do the women's games. So we got the coach of from the York College, Jen Muston, with us.
Hi,
Jen. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, Coach.
My friend Jared Welsh does the games for the men's side. He probably did a couple games for you guys on the women's side too, right?
Yeah, he did all of our home games last year. He was amazing. We're so happy to have him, and I think the year before too. He's been with us for some time. So
yeah, he works really hard. He knows his lacrosse. It's like me knowing my baseball.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He adds a whole nother element to our games for sure. We love him.
Yeah, that's great. That's cool. So talk about this, the season. You guys. Let me see here. You guys are starting out soon. I want to, let me pull you up here on my
March 2nd.
Yes.
March 2nd.
Yeah, we start next week, and we hit the road right away. We're at Washington College, and then we have a little bit of a recovery before the next week with F&M. So that's always a battle for us. We always go in a tight game with them, so we're really excited and just. I'm happy to get back to what I consider a normal schedule. Last year we were conference only. We weren't playing any of these out-of-conference teams, and we didn't even have any fans. So it just feels like it's kind of getting back to what we know, and it gives the girls a little more motivation. It's really sad when there's not a person in sight at your games. So now that we can have people there, it feels like it's kind of back to, 2 years ago. So.
Yeah. How difficult was it for you as a coach? Because I know I talked to some coaches, had during that whole year. How tough it was for you? Because you guys had probably different protocols in other places, and we had the coach from Stevenson on. He said he had to take a picture of the school bus, and he had to take a picture of the kids with the mask on, and it's all these steps he had to do before you got in, and he had no locker room, so he had to go outside in the cold. It's like, come on, So how difficult was it for you as a coach saying, I don't have a playbook for this one?
It was really hard. I mean, I don't think any of us knew what we were doing. We were just trying to forge ahead. And, when you don't have a locker room and you don't have a comfortable place to talk to the team before a game or change even, and when there's no fans out there, it's just it's really hard. It's hard on the girls. Like it took a toll on their mental health. The only motivation was from within. And sometimes you just need that external motivation. So, I think we all kind of tried to fake our way through it and act like we were happy and having a good time. But deep down, I think a lot of us just weren't. And, I have my whole roster back. Like, credit to the girls for sticking it out and not letting that kind of cloud their enjoyment of lacrosse, because it wasn't very enjoyable, to be honest with you. But we stuck together and we grinded it out. And, we had some highlights. We didn't have the season we wanted competitively, but I think they all grew as individuals, which is, essentially what you want. And I think they're in a better place this year, and just mentally they're so much more happy and so much healthier. So I'm happy to see that. Last year was a real toll.
Yeah, I was just looking at your schedule before I let Jordan's going. My parents went to Lynchburg College back in the 70s. So one time I had to help my parents go to the game. It was Salisbury versus Lynchburg, and my dad goes, "Go Hornets!" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You guys are Hornets?" I'm like, "What is wrong with you people?"
Right.
Yeah, but what was it like going down to Lynchburg? Because Lynchburg is a very nice small college town. You got Liberty is now the big university, and Lynchburg is actually a small university. It's like, it's pretty. Is it a nice little place to go for a couple hours?
Yeah, I was there once years ago. I used to actually coach field hockey at York. I was the assistant my first couple years here, and that's the only time I've ever been to Lynchburg to play a game, because we haven't really played them in lacrosse. So I do remember the campus being beautiful. As soon as we pulled in, the players were even saying how nice the campus was, and just the greens and the gardens. And So I'll be looking forward to getting back there because it's been some time. It's always nice to play new teams every couple of years on your schedule to get sort of a fresh look at things. So we'll be excited for that game.
George, go ahead. Sorry about that, bud.
That's okay. You're fine. You're the host of the show. I'm just a guy along for the ride.
I have to get that paycheck out for you. How much is it?
So, Coach, last year you go 10-2 in the regular season. You win the first 2 games of your division, and then the last game, and you come up just a little bit short. What's the one thing you pull out of that last game? Because it's always the last game you remember, right? It's
Sure.
not the previous 2 that were wins, but it's that loss that leaves that sour taste. What's the message to the team? Of course, about moving on, but how do you get them saying we don't want to do that again this year?
Sure, yeah. I think a lot of factors played in that. I mean, if you look at the box score, the score of the game was very close,
Absolutely.
pretty much the whole way, and then we just lost it at the end, and they elevated their lead pretty big at the end. I think it was like a 1 or 2 goal game the whole way through, and then maybe with like 12 or 14 minutes left, they just started tacking them on. So I think we just lost steam. We lost stamina. I think we lost a little motivation. We didn't have, I guess I'll say, the leadership that we needed in those moments. We just floundered a little by the end there. And I think with that under our belts and that learning experience, I think that can help this time around. I also think when you're playing a game in front of 200 people that are only fans of the other team,
Mm-hmm.
in a championship setting, that's a little hard. You know, it was 100% fans for the other team and no fans allowed for York because of the fan policy of that school.
Yep.
So I think that just took a toll on my players mentally. And it's not an excuse. It's not why we lost. But, you know, when the game starts to turn a little in those moments, you need some external motivation to help you stay in it. And we didn't have it. It was just like the 9 players on the sideline trying to go up against 200 fans. So I just think that, you know, that's a huge learning experience for us. And I think mentally we need to stay in it longer. Physically, we need to stay in it longer. And I think now having, you know, a bigger senior class and more leadership, we should be able to handle that in this time and more fans.
And by the way, guys, knowing that this game is stuck in her head,
Yeah.
the pendulum swung at 14:58
Right.
when it went up 8-10. So tell me that this coach does not remember what it feels like to lose that game. She's spot on.
Hey,
Yeah.
She probably wakes up in the middle of the night and starts, sweating, going, "We should have done something." We
Yes.
should've," and then
Should
your
have taken a
husband's probably
timeout.
"Go back to bed,
Right.
dear. Go back to bed."
Exactly.
You
I
know?
called the wrong play or this or that. Exactly.
What you could have, should have. That's
Right.
what could have, should have. But hey, look, you learn from your mistakes, and the next time when you get to that point, like everybody else, you see, and you go, "Oh, I remember what I just did last year that was wrong.
Exactly.
Let's do it again." Do it
Yeah, we
different.
basically, I mean, we didn't play quarters last year, but it would have been like if we just played it in the fourth quarter. It didn't keep that momentum we had and going in the rest of the game. So
Yep.
hopefully this year we can avoid that.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the scores last year from some of your guys. Some games like 22-0. That must have been one of those games like you could bring everybody off the bench. It's like, hey, you want to play a couple of minutes? Go ahead.
Sure.
And that's good for you guys. You can see who's good on the on your bench, knowing that okay, we could bring her in. If we need another attackman, if that person gets hurt, you can see different things.
Yeah, I think it was good just for player morale because I think everyone knew they were going to play in some of those games. I think it hurt us, though, in the competitive aspect because we're used to playing such a hard schedule where every game is a challenge. You can never take a game off, so to speak. And then last year with having conference only, we didn't get those annual matchups with, F&M and Gettysburg and Middlebury and Washington and Lee. And those are never easy days. So just not having those on the schedule kind of gave us a false sense of what a hard game was like.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got into a hard game, we didn't know how to handle it. So that's why I'm really excited to get back to this year's schedule because, we'll be used to hard situations and it won't be a surprise when we get into, the next one.
That's true. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. So now my question to you is, now last year you only played a conference only schedule, so tell us what it's like to play a full regular schedule this year, both non-conference and conference.
Sure. It's very fulfilling to feel like we have that set up for us, because last year the schedule felt very skinny, if you will, just not having so many games. So now we have a full load with 17 games and familiar opponents, and it's nice because the seniors on my team, they know what that's like, but almost everyone else doesn't. So it's nice to be able to give the younger players that experience in playing in those games, knowing that it's going to be a battle, it's going to be tight. Hopefully it'll be tight. And, just the opportunity to really compete against high competition. And that's our goal every year, is to make those teams on our schedule the best teams in Division III, so that it prepares us for getting to the NCAA tournament. And it prepares us for those championship scenarios when there's 14 minutes left and, we don't have a choice. We have to play. We can't fade away. So it feels so much more fulfilling this year to look at a full schedule and know what's ahead. And I'm really excited.
That's cool. George, go ahead and finish it up.
So I'm going to give you a really good follow-up here about adversity. You hit the nail on the head when you talked about not having those tough games. If you look back in history, regardless of sports, teams that don't have that adversity, you have nothing to pull from in that regular season. It's sort of like muscle memory. You have that adversity, you have something to pull from. Hey, what did I do in this scenario? What did I do in that scenario? Adversity, I think that every team needs it. Either somehow try and build it into a game if it's at some point. But adversity to me, is the key to success, because the last time you want to see adversity is in a championship game.
Exactly.
Because it's so difficult to try and rally when you're down.
I agree. And I think, the whole coronavirus situation in and of itself was a ton of adversity for the team, but that wasn't going to help us win games. Like, we needed that tough game situation, experience to be able to come through in the championship game. And we just didn't have that enough last year. We had a false sense, to be honest with you. And as much as I said that to the team and reminded them, like, this isn't really what it's like, they just don't know, because game after game, the challenge, really wasn't there. And then when it was there, we couldn't function. So that's why our schedule this year is so important and so crucial, because from day one, we're going to be hit head on with those challenges, those moments of adversities. And if we get through it, we'll, still learn from it. And if we don't get through it, we'll certainly learn from it. And it's just more and more character building for later in the season. So we need that. Hopefully we face 5 or 6 championship type games this season before we get to the championship game.
Exactly.
And we got to work hard to get there. It's not a given that we're going to get there, but we need to work really hard for that. So
That's right.
That's true. Right. Well, Jen, thanks so much for coming on, and enjoy the rest of your week of training. And we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll talk to you down the road, middle of the season, see how you're doing.
That's great. I appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great evening.
Coach.
Thanks. You too. Thank you.
All right. That's Jen Munson, who is the head coach at York College. So, folks, last weekend college baseball kicked off, and this team actually stole the thunder from the Gators.
Here comes the 0-2 pitch. It is a swing and a miss, and they got him. So Hungate pumps his fists, and the Gators go down for the first time in 2022. Liberty bouncing out of that dugout as they have evened up this series, and we're going to have a deciding game tomorrow at noon as Liberty wins it today 6-4. We'll take a break.
All right, folks, let's bring in the head coach of Liberty baseball, Scott Jackson. Coach Scott, how you doing?
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Congratulations on the big win this past weekend. I was really shocked because the night before you guys played a really tough game against the Gators, and then I was like, and I saw it on Twitter, upset alert. Liberty beating Florida. I was like, no way. I was like, that's awesome. I know the Gators were number 9 in the country at the time. So what did you learn from that weekend series that's going to help you? That's basically going to help you throughout the season.
No, it should. I mean, you go on the road in an SEC ballpark, and I mean that's just not easy. They set an attendance record this weekend for their weekend set in their new ballpark. So that bodes well for us. I don't know that we will be in an environment like that in the regular season moving forward. So, that's good. Our bullpen was incredible. I mean, just incredible. They came in Saturday and Sunday and just they locked it down. I think it was something like 11 1/3 with no runs allowed and 12 strikeouts. Just really, really impressive. So we're excited. It's just one weekend. You got to capitalize on it by continuing to win. But certainly a step forward for our program and a chance to be in the top 25 and really get us where we want to go.
Yes. Speaking of that, you're in the rankings came out today or yesterday. 21st in Division I Baseball.com, 18 and 24. I know it's early in the season, and I know a lot of teams don't look at it like, wow, we're 24. That's great. Like Miami was 25th last week. It's still what you see at the end of the year. That's the main goal. You could be, in the top 25, and then by the end of the year, you don't win your tournament. You're basically your season's over, and you're like, okay, we're ranked, but we didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. Like that's the goal for us is to position ourselves to be an at-large team and not have to worry about 5 days in May and winning a tournament. So, I mean, this helps. Certainly it helps. I mean, Florida, we hope we're Gator fans now. After we beat them, we're big time Gator fans. We want them to run through the SEC and reel off a great season. So. That's it. Like I said, it's one weekend. It's a long year. Baseball is a fantastic grind, if you will, of just, a lot of games in a short period of time. So it's up to us to just move on to the next one. We've got North Carolina A&T tomorrow night. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important game of the year for us right now.
Yeah, that's like next game up. Right now you're 0-0. That's all it is.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. You don't worry about what you did over the weekend. It's like, wow, 2-1. Okay. It doesn't matter. What that's saying doesn't matter. No, let's bring George. Go ahead.
So, Coach, congratulations. I know we had you on before the season started.
Yeah.
The interesting is we just had Coach Muston on from York, and we had just talked about adversity,
right.
and what adversity does for a team. Your adversity, you go and you lose game one of the opening game of the season, 7-2 on the road, but then you come back and muster up 2 wins. Adversity comes in different forms, and your adversity was a road game in front of a huge, Gators fan base, and you came away with a victory.
Yeah, no, my message to our guys on Friday night, I mean, first of all, we faced Hunter Barco. Hunter is, he's going to be a first-round pick. I mean, that guy's good. That being said, it was still 3-0. We were within striking distance, and I just told our guys, I really love our bullpen. I think our bullpen is better than the majority of the teams that we're going to play. And look, just keep on fighting and just let's try to get to the middle of the game. Obviously it's early in the year, so pitch counts are low with starters. And, I think our bullpen favors us. And, it's funny because when our starter came out, it was 3-0. And I told our guys, like, look, we got Barco out of the game. They got our guy out of the game. It was only 3-0. So, if that's the case, then I'll take my chances with, somebody else's bullpen versus ours. And sure enough, man, it played out exactly like that on Sunday. We were down 3-0 and we fought back and our bullpen, held them. And so, you come out of that. We've got an older team. We've got mature guys. I mean, with COVID, you've got some 23 and 24-year-olds in college baseball. We're not any exception to that. We've got some older players, and the heart rate stays low and they don't really get outside themselves. And that really bodes well. If you're going to do damage, if you're going to make a run to the postseason, to a super regional, to Omaha, you got to have low heart rate guys. And we talk about that a lot. Like, just let the game play itself out and don't get too high and don't get too low. And, I think that's what helped us. I mean, we've got some older guys in that bullpen, and doggone, they were lights out. I mean, they were fantastic.
And if you can win 2 out of 3 every weekend or sweep a weekend on occasion, you're guaranteeing yourself a spot.
That's exactly right. I mean, win every weekend, and certainly going to an SEC ballpark. I mean, we don't have another set like that on our schedule. I mean, it's at home, and then we go into our league play. So, you're going to have some bad weekends. You hope not, but you feel like this would really position you to have confidence and really feel like, hey, if we get down, it's okay. We got a chance to come back. And you do that on Sunday with a rubber match game in an SEC ballpark. If you can do it there, you got a chance. And it's not going to happen. It's not Disney World. It's not going to happen just because we want it to, and we did it at Florida. But, it really gives you some confidence. And I think our guys are mature, and, we'll see what the season brings. But this can't hurt us. That's for sure.
That's true. Well, Scott, let me let you go because I know you're a busy guy and we're up against the clock. But thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow. Hopefully the weather's nice for you guys, and I might take a trip down to you guys to see you guys this year for a game because my parents are only an hour away from. They're in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Come on down and watch, man, and go Orioles.
That's true. Hopefully we have a season. You never know. Yeah.
Hey, we'll see. I'm diehard, so hopefully we do. And no matter if it's a rebuild or not, I'm all in.
That's awesome. All right, Coach.
All right, see you guys. Yep.
Good luck, Coach.
Congratulations.
All right, that's Coach Scott Jackson, the toast of the town in this area after beating the Gators. I was like, wow.
Yeah. College. And college, you go down to Florida's brand new stadium ballpark that opened up last year. You take 2 out of 3 from an SEC quality team that has always is a contender, to go to Omaha. That's saying something in college baseball. It's like, even though it's the first weekend in season, you do that and people will watch and see this, and it's like, whoa, I don't think nobody expected that. Not even me.
Exactly. Well, let's bring this gentleman, Towson Tigers baseball. They went down to the U over the weekend, and Coach Tyler used to play at Miami back in the old days, and it was a homecoming for him, but it wasn't the homecoming that he wanted, because I know when you wanted to go down there and beat the Canes, and they had the Canes on the ropes in game 1. They were down 10-8 in the 7th inning. They did have a lead on them, but I guess that's thing that you have more horses in the barn than the Power 5 schools have more more depth than we have in the CA and all that stuff. So it was a tough loss, but in the next couple of days, it was just seeing the wrath of the Hurricanes, just how they just brought out the bats. So, hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me. How's everybody tonight?
Not bad.
Good, sir.
Good, Coach.
I was sitting on my computer Friday night, and I was like, okay, 7-5 Towson. Come on, guys. You could do this, and I'm thinking, like, I want to call my brother and just rat him out. Like, come on, let's do this. And you guys had him on the ropes Friday night. You had him. You're looking for that knockout punch, but you couldn't get that jab. And you had a lead going into the top of the 7th.
Well, you're saying all the right things. It was an action-packed evening, to say the least. My guys were way, way up here, ready to go, ready to play. They knew what was in front of us. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they were playing for me, and I really appreciated their efforts. We had about 3,500 or so in the stand, so it was jam-packed. It was their first game back with fans in 2 years.
Wow.
Miami brought it all out, all the guns, and Alejandro Rosario was running it up there about 98. So, it was It was quite an experience, to say the least. And, you know, I think we scared them a little bit, and we had a meltdown in right center field that just absolutely we couldn't recover from. And, you know, maybe 2 weeks from now we make that play because it's not necessarily a routine fly ball because it's on the warning track.
Right.
But, you know, first time we're under the lights, first time the wind's blowing in our face or against our backs. And, you know, coming in 98, going out 120.
Right.
It can take a toll on somebody if you haven't seen that kind of speed in velo, you know, hitting and or fielding. So no excuses. Should have made the play, and maybe the outcome of that game would have been different. But you put it all in one tank, unfortunately. And as I told the guys, I said, gosh, let's not let this game define ourselves, you know, by putting everything in this one and then just, you know, what in the bed on Saturday and Sunday. And unfortunately, that's what we did, you know. And I think you said it correctly. Miami is not the 25th ranked team in the country.
No,
they're not. I mean, they're a top 10 program, and they have. We didn't see a pitch under 90. You know, I mean, you got 13 pitchers throwing, and every one of them are 90 plus, with their ace at 98, their closer at 96, 97. That's upper echelon.
Yeah. So how do you get yourself ready for a pitch like that? Because I know when I talked to my father, who used to play baseball, and he told me like it comes in like and you have to like literally you got to hear the sound, and you got to make sure you could like put the bat to the ball or try to figure out where it is. Is that something you guys have to work on in practice? You have to bring in like somebody from the Orioles organization, like, hey, throw some heaters. Go ahead.
I'd love to bring in some people from the Orioles, throw some heaters. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, lockout.
We use pitching machines of all sizes and shapes, and we'll work on velo. We'll work on velo from 45, 50, 55 to 60 feet, just to see if we can't wake the hitter's hands up, knowing full well that that's what we were facing this week, and that's what we'll be facing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when we go down to LSU and play LSU and Southern. I know. I saw it. I was like, sure.
Adam, come on, calm it down, buddy. Calm it down.
I'm sorry. I mean, you get to go from one Power 5 team with 10,000 fans to a team who's led college baseball with an attendance for 25 years. I know it ain't going to be easy playing the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge and Southern University as well.
Well, and you're right. I pull for the Tigers any weekend, but this weekend because my assistant coach that I played for at Miami is Skip Burtman, and so Burtman went on, and I mean hopefully I can get him out to the park this week and at least let him attempt to address the team. He's 84 years old. He's getting up there, but he's got a soft spot in his heart for me, so maybe I can pull a string and get him out there.
Yeah. Well, back in one of the regionals a couple of years ago, LSU had to play against somebody. I think it was one of their, the CAA opponents, and I think they got upset. I think one of the teams went in there and like knocked them out of the regional.
Could be. Yeah. I apologize. I should know more about college baseball.
Yeah, I think I can't remember what team it was, but I remember that was like the biggest thing that whole weekend. Like they just went into LSU and just smacked them. It's like really.
It was Stony Brook. It was Stony Brook, Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and now
CAA.
Yeah, Stony Brook is a new member of the CAA, and that. Did you hear that North Carolina A&T became a member?
Yeah, I'm wondering if the commissioner is going to start a bowling league because both North Carolina A&T and Hampton University, and there's other schools that have a bowling league. I'm like, are you just going to start the CAA bowling league just to get into the, because you're tired of looking at Nebraska winning the thing? Yeah,
well, they don't have to worry about me trying out. I can't break 100. So
hey, we're all not professionals, I know George used to be a professional. He won some trophies when he was a kid, right?
I was on the amateur tour for a little bit.
There you go.
Hey, there you go.
So
my son's got a little skill rolling the ball. Last game, I guess I heard he bowled was a 260.
Nice.
262.
Nice.
Like, man, I don't think you could add up my scores for for 3 years and get to 262.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And that's completely sober, which is hard to do. You know?
That's why they call it rock and roll. I was going to play that Peyton Manning commercial. There's the one during the Super Bowl with the the showdown and they're walking in.
Yeah.
I love that. That was a great commercial.
Yes,
The only one. But talking about this weekend against the Tigers, they're coming off scoring more runs that you haven't seen in a weekend against Maine. So it's going to be another weekend of like, we got to stop them, or we got to figure out, maybe a thunderstorm might roll in, or, you get a hurricane or something. Just get the 4 innings in, you're good.
I got to watch some of your last coach that was on, Coach Jackson. And there's a reason why all of us schedule these teams early. And I know my philosophy is pretty simple. I want to get them before they get their rotation set. So I want a kid to come out and, I shouldn't say I want a kid to come out and do bad, but if he lays an egg, it's to my benefit and my team's benefit. So, that helps us, because down the road, a 1-win, a 1-3 weekend against Miami or a 1-1 against LSU pays so much dividends, because you're talking about teams that are going to win 35, 40 games, and they're going to beat some quality teams, and that's going to help your RPI. So for me, it's schedule those teams early and then come back to reality right before you get back into conference, so that you can have all of the emotional. There's no way to recreate what we were up against in Miami on Friday. Mm-hmm. But when you open at Northeastern, you better be ready to do that. When you open at UNCW, when you open at Elon, when you open at College of Charleston, Delaware, Hofstra, it's a hostile environment. Yeah, and you better be ready to go. So by playing in that kind of environment, it should help our team grow a little bit. And I know he said, we've got some 23, 24-year-old guys. Well, I do too, but unfortunately my guys are coming from Division II.
Right.
That are getting their first taste of Division I baseball. And I thought Chandler Castleberry just handled himself just phenomenally. But defensively, he's a great quality center fielder. But to speak, and I've told him this, I said, you know what improves the most the higher the level you go? They're like pitching, hitting. I'm like, no, defense. Defense improves the most. Those balls you hit in the gap, they get caught, And I said, we got to return the favor, and that's what we didn't do. We didn't rob one. We didn't dive for one. We didn't swing the momentum back to us. We played great in the infield, and according to the stat line, we played great in the outfield. But I'm here to tell you we can improve, and if we do those things, I think we've got some mojo cooking right now that I like what I see. Obviously, we got to control the freebie game also. I know that was a thing from the past, but I still subscribe to that. Mm-hmm. You cannot give away free bases. No. To be competitive, you got to keep it to 7-10, and you got to win that war. And that's what happened on Friday night. It was 15-17, according to my books. And when you're 15-17, it's, we punched them, they punched back. Hey, we punched them back, and that went on pretty much for about 8 innings. And then it was like, okay, we got to score here, and we just didn't get it done. Walter's pretty good. Woo. Nice back end. So we want to do the same thing this weekend. We open with Southern, and they're picked to win the SWAC, so they went 2-1 this weekend. There's not a lot of video out on those guys. So we're having to piecemeal together our scouting report. And then if you look at LSU, you're sitting there going, okay, All-American, yeah. top 5 draft pick. Not round, top 5, so you got one over here at first, you got one over at third, you got one in the outfield at second base, but might be hurt. We don't know, then you got 3 or 4 pitchers that are 6'7", lose 40 pounds and come out and just throw gas. So we're excited to see. And again, though, for my guys to experience what it's going to be like to play LSU on Friday night. Come on, if that's not a dream of yours, what are you doing then? Why do you put the uniform on? You know, I mean, and I shared this with them. I said, look, we're playing with how much money, guys? We should be the loose team. We should be the one going out here and just throwing it all on the field and let it go. Who gives a rat's ass if we make an error? You know, I mean, let's go. Who cares? Well, I know the guy that gets hit cares, but if we hit 2 or 3, it is what it is. Let's just keep going, keep playing. And they're starting to get that. They are.
Yeah. These are almost like these early games in the season, Matt, are like, you know, spring training games for you guys because you only had practice. You don't play against anybody except for the same uniform every afternoon. And now you're seeing different people and you're getting to get yourself learning against other teams. And that's going to help you down the road going, okay, I've seen this guy before. This is a common copy of the guy at LSU, but he's a little bit slimmer. You know, we'll see what we can see.
Well, and you're right about that. But what you just said is exactly correct. There's a reason why I developed when I was in college. I played 40 games in the fall. I played 24 games in January before we ever opened in February. And you want to get better, you got to play games. I know there's a lot of people that talk about practice. I draw the line. You got to play some games, you know, and you got to become game tested and battle tested. And I have to see what you can do, you know, and the only way to do that is to play you. Unfortunately, you might not get a lot of opportunities because some guys have proved themselves in practice in those inter squad games and they deserve a chance. So 4 at-bats, 4 games, 10 at-bats, that doesn't make a season for me.
Right, exactly. George, you got anything?
I was going to say, Coach, you know, we gave you a little bit of a hard time when you came on the show the last time, and we would forgive you anyway for being late. So I will move past that. But when you look back on this weekend, any coach, and you probably say this to your guys, any loss is a win. You learn something about yourselves. You put something out there. You put yourselves in game situations that you're going to learn from. So it unfortunately doesn't translate to a W in the win column, but you learn something. You learn a little bit more, and you learn what not to do, and it becomes situational baseball.
Well, you know, for me, whenever we practice, I think of how can I recreate or how can I get a competitiveness in our practice that's going to simulate the game and it's going to raise our awareness and make us feel, act, and play like we're in a baseball game. There is no way that I can recreate being down 1 in the first, tying it in the second, down 1 in the second, tying it in the third, down 2 in the third, taking the lead in the fourth against Miami in a practice or a scrimmage game. So you're right. That dividend is lodged back in that savings account, right? So that when we made it to the tournament last year, our conference tournament, and you've heard it before, and I'll be the first to say, we were just slap ass happy to have made it to the tournament. You know, I mean, wow, we're in the tournament when we get beat, you know, well, okay. These guys had never been, you know, there was, I don't know, 3 guys maybe on a staff. Miles Miller had never been to a Division I conference tournament. Danny Pulver had, myself had, Tanner Biagini had. So, you know, those were the only guys that had been to a conference tournament. Well, the bad thing about that is we weren't playing, had never been there. And Coach Burtman said, most of the time you got to go to a tournament or you've got to go somewhere and you've got to lose first before you ever win. And losing teaches you how to win. All we did was constructively break down this game on Friday, the 2 on Saturday, and the 3 on Sunday, because my guys are students of the game. They know what they did right. They know what they did wrong. And we just say, hey, if we would have done this and we could have maybe massaged it this way or the other way, we'd have had a better outcome. Agree? Okay. So against Southern, we got to throw more strikes. We got to compete more from the mound. We can't swing and miss anymore. You know, we've got to cut down on our strikeouts. We got to get from double digits to 9 and 9 to 8. And then we got to play solid defense like we did. And I said, look, here's the deal. Game 1, perfect. It's down. It's in the books. Now, what does game 2 and 3 look like? Do we go backwards or do we go forwards? And we're forward. And that's the important thing. So we played as emotional as we could on Friday, but then we kind of took a step back on Saturday and we took another step back on Sunday. That's the one thing that disappointed me was we just didn't bring the full-fledged intensity on Saturday and Sunday that we had on Friday. Young season, I get it, no problem. But, we have got to be able to bottle and sell that intensity on Friday for Saturday and Sunday when we get ready for the CAA conference, because it is a dogfight. Y'all know that.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to learn how to distribute that energy and maintain some level, leave something in the gas tank to finish.
I agree 100%. And that's what the staff talked about. Gosh, how do you get them up? Well, I don't know if I've got it in me to give the miracle on ice speech, paying tribute to it as it happened today, way back when. Right. I'm not sure I've got that, and my guys know that. I'm a player, and nobody had to jack me up. I was ready to go.
Yep.
So I look for that intestinal fortitude in each one of my guys as well. Now I'm there once the game starts to settle you down, because I heard Scott talk about your heart rate, and think about that. My starting shortstop didn't play this weekend, twisted an ankle in the weight room. So I've got a freshman that came out of Gilman High School last year, small private school in the MIAA, goes to state championship, wins the state championship. But let me ask you, what do you think what it felt like? Him in the state championship at Hartford Community College, playing in front of 250 people, or being on national TV in front of 3,600, including your parents, down in Miami in 82-degree heat at 7:00 at night.
A little bit of pressure.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's like he must have been like pacing, or he must have been sweating bullets. Going, oh my God, this is Miami. I would have been like, so like, okay, this is Miami. All right.
So
this is like the team that everybody knows about, and the colors, and you just go out there and that's why some pitchers could handle pressure and some of them can't. Exactly. Because they get too overwhelmed of what they're coming into the ballpark. To me, yes, it's Miami. To me, it's like, okay, but it's just another team with another uniform on, and I'm going to strike you out, and I'm going to get you out the best we can, and we're going to win on your field. And if you don't like it, try to knock us off. Go ahead.
It's when we talk about, Chris, we talk about it in other sports.
Yeah.
We talk about football, how kids come up from high school to the college level, and the game moves at a different speed. We talk about kids that go from college to the NFL that can't figure it out. Same thing happens in baseball. The game moves at different speeds.
Yep.
And professionals have that problem going from city to city. You've had guys who've had success come to the New York Yankees, and they're supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread, and they get stuck in the headlights. Right. I can't imagine being this freshman, who's like, I'm ready to go, coach, in case you need me. And then all of a sudden he's called upon. That's pressure. The game moves at a totally different speed.
Yeah. You're coming out of the bullpen, you're going, oh my God. Yeah, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I got to keep myself focused on what I'm doing. And you try to be like John Rocker or somebody that, you just run to the mound and just get going and get out the door. Yeah.
You're exactly right. And one of our guys is Brett Siles, who pitched for Sherwood High School here in Maryland and won the state championship as well last year. Well, he made a relief appearance this weekend, and he did fine, and he's a quiet kid as it is. But, when we got to Miami on Friday night, I just turned around and I said, hey, everybody go like this or this. This was my psych speech. I said, or this. And so I said, you feel it? I said, it's nice and it's resting. You're relaxed. It's been a great bus ride over here. The team that controls this tonight wins.
And you almost controlled it. You almost got it. And I feel like maybe on Saturday and Sunday, I think the nostalgia of Miami got to the players because you saw the U and And they're like, oh my God, the firepower, you know.
It was either that or the left-handed Carson Palmquist, who is just nasty, and followed that up with a big right-hander, Garland, who's, you know, I mean, God love him, man. I would like nothing more. Obviously, now I'm a Kane fan. My gosh, I went there, right? So I'm pulling for him now, and it is going to be fun. Morales at third base. That's the real deal, man. I mean, he's another Manny Machado, except he's right-handed.
Wow.
I mean, he is that freaking good. He's 6'4".
Wow.
You know, he's got long levers. He made 2 plays down the left field line that took us out of innings. And then he made a couple plays coming in on balls. But the play down the line, it saved him twice. Saved him 2 runs in one game and 1 in another. And he made it look like, no big deal. You know, it's incredible.
It's not like you're taking on Nolan Ryan, and then you have J.R. Richards, and then you have Phil Necro, you know, or Joe Necro, you know, like, holy crap. Like,
well, and you know, I mean, in tribute to them, that's what they have to do to compete, right? And from a pitching staff, we looked at it going, okay, these guys are used to facing 92 and above, so we're gonna do a little of this and a little of that, or a lot of this, and we were very effective with our changeup, very effective with our breaking ball. But if we missed, they made you pay.
Right.
And that, to me, that's the mark of a very, very mature team, you know, and they're going to be good. They're going to be really good.
Exactly. Well, good luck this weekend. We'll be pulling for you. Hopefully you get maybe Saturday night I'll get a early birthday gift for Nicole, and you get a win for her on her birthday.
There you go. Yeah. We have Southern on Friday at noon, and then LSU at 6:30. Then on Saturday, Southern plays the Twin Bill, so we get Southern at 6:30.
Okay.
And then on Sunday, we play at 12 o'clock again, and we got LSU that day. So we'll bookend it and scrape together a couple W's this week, which would be really, really special for our bunch. And then, you know, then it's back home for a couple of days, and then we're off to play UNCG down in Greensboro. So we're working our way back up north, fellas, and can't wait to get back up here.
Exactly. Well, have a safe trip down to Baton Rouge, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got it, Coach. Thank you, guys. Hey, do I need to bring him a LSU something or?
No. Cut.
Get him off camera. Get the guy with the LSU colors off camera.
Hey, guys, man.
See you later. Bye.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, that's Coach Matt Tyler, from Towson University. So I know you're rolling out. Yeah, thanks for coming on there, George.
Good seeing you guys.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you later, George.
We'll see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday on the program, real quick. I'm working with this guy, trying to get this gentleman on the program.
Parker Bone III.
Oh,
yeah, he texted me
from New Jersey.
Me the other day, and he goes, "Yeah, well, he should be ready for 8 o'clock next Tuesday night, but he got to check with his kids because I think one of them has a college visit or something like that." So, I'll let you guys know about that. But Parker Bone, who one of the best left-handers on tour. Yep. Throughout the history of bowling, even with he ranks up there with Earl Anthony, much. So
he was just smooth.
But and a very nice guy. Yeah. Very nice guy.
Yes, he is.
He's really cool. I'm sitting like George, real quick, we're gonna let you go. I'm sitting here the other night watching TV and I see my phone lit up. I'm like, who's texting me? I'm like, it's Parker. And he goes, "Are you available? Is Tuesday night, the 1st of March, okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine with us."
I'm not throwing this phone away.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there trying to watch 1883 without not even having Nicole looking at me going like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like trying to be secretly on it. So hopefully we'll get him on next Tuesday. We'll we'll keep you posted on that. George, later,
gentlemen. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yes, sir. Man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. All right, folks, let's bring in the head coach of Mount St. Mary's here. We're running a little behind our time schedule here because we do have to get the coach from LSU on. We'll get him on in a minute. So, yes, we know. We see that.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Hey, it's fun. Yeah, let's bring in Coach Tom Grant, who from Mount St. Mary's. Hey, Coach Tom, how you doing?
How you guys doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good, sir.
Yeah, it was we were having a good conversation with baseball. So it was like, with Coach Tyler from Towson, just talking about how baseball is probably similar to lacrosse. You guys go in there and let's say you're taking on the other day, you were taking on like, let's say Delaware, or you took on one of those teams and you walked in, some of your players walking, you go, wow, this is Delaware. It's like, geez, and you're trying to tell them like it's just a lacrosse game. It's not like, people coming out of the stands like alumni. So how do you teach your kids to control, their emotions and saying, it's just a game?
Well, part of that's recruiting, actually, Chris. You want to try to get kids that come out of experience programs that have the ability to play on the big stage. That's one of my, nervousness about a game, especially going into the Navy game, right? Marine Corps Stadium. You don't want kids to get in the big stadium on the big stage and all of a sudden, stiffen up, forget what they need to do, what the game plan is, what the execution is. They handle themselves pretty well in Navy, and then from there, things didn't go that well for us, in terms of how we wanted this season to move forward. But, again, I think it has a lot to do with recruiting kids from, certain programs that have a rich history in the game, how the game is played, how they're supported. Like I learned something, I don't know if y'all know, but I can say I'm a Marylander now, but I grew up in upstate New York, Syracuse, right? So, it was all public school, and I learned how things are different as it came down back in 1993. I have a son who is post-grad 22 right now. I watched him play in the IAC with Georgetown Prep for 3 years, and then he moved over to Loyola Blakefield last year and graduated from there. So I witnessed the lacrosse in both areas and the approach, and not to throw the IAC under the bus, but I just felt like the MIAA did it a lot better and really helped support those kids by their approach in, the game management. And those kids are, ready to play. They're ready to play on the big stage when they get to college. And I have a couple of those young men that were 21 grads with my son at Loyola Blakefield. They're playing for me now at Mount St. Mary's as freshmen. And there's a difference, in their ability and how they handle themselves versus some of the other kids that came out of some other areas that aren't as experienced in lacrosse. So, long answer, but in short, I think it has to do with recruiting.
Yeah. Now, Coach, I know you at Mount St. Mary's, a lot of people are familiar with the men's basketball team, but a lot of people may not be familiar with the men's lacrosse team. So tell us about your schedule you have this year and some of it, and some of your top players, that we should look out for this year.
Well, our schedule is been the same probably for last 4 or 6 years in terms of we're right out of the gate against some very high profile teams that I feel like over my career we've kind of closed the gap on a little bit. It usually starts out with Delaware or Towson, right? This year it was Navy. I played almost every team in the state of Maryland because we're all within an hour, or they're all within an hour of me, including Georgetown and Maryland. And knew a lot of these guys. Some of them are around my time, some are a little bit younger who watched me play, and I'm willing to give them out a chance, so over time, with the conferences, conference play starting in late March, you have to find some out of conference opponents, and these are great programs, right? They're budget friendly in terms of the travel and the cost of travel. So I'm just I'm very grateful that it works that way in this great state of Maryland, with how many lacrosse teams Division One.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people, I believe, have you had a chance to go to, do you guys play Johns Hopkins or the University of Maryland this year?
Yeah. So, with the coaching change, when Dave stepped away and Peter Millman took the program over, he went in a different direction with it. And listen, I respect that. My the last game I was told of the 2020 season was a game between Mount St. Mary's at John Hopkins, and that went right to the wire. That was a great, exciting game. We kind of put them in a position maybe they thought they wouldn't be in, but those kids managed to get themselves organized right when it counted, and they won the game in overtime. So I wouldn't mind getting Peter back on the schedule and John Hopkins. John Hopkins is near to my heart. I don't know if you knew my background was having to beat a blood cancer back. Was diagnosed back in 2000 and spent a lot of time at John Hopkins down in Baltimore, and still spend time there. I still have to follow up with people that are keeping watchful on me. So it was always fun as a former player to play there, and it was great to be on the sidelines, having our guys run against them. But there's plenty of great teams that will gladly play us, fit the schedule, and again, the way our game has moved, we're playing the conference schedule in late March to April. We have to play each other, so I can't really think of one team in the state of Maryland I haven't played,
Wow.
in my career.
Wow.
Well, Coach Tom, thanks for joining us. You guys take on UMBC next week.
Right.
So
Friday.
we will, get you on, and we'll recap the games next week with you. So good luck.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Good luck, Coach.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care. You got it. Bye-bye.
So, all right, that's Coach Tom Granite from Mount St. Mary's. Let's bring in the head coach of Arizona. He used to play there. He was the coach of Arizona.
Now he's the head coach of LSU baseball, and they had an incredible 3-game series against Maine where they scored a record number 51 runs, and their offense has a good shot, to go to Omaha. So, Coach Jay Johnson, welcome to the show, and talk to us about, what it was like to play at Alex Box Stadium on a Friday night with all those crazy, rowdy fans.
Coach, you can hear us? Coach Johnson?
I don't think.
Oh, no. Are you still there? Hold on.
Okay.
Ah, here we go. Hey, Coach, can you hear us?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. I put you on mute. Adam was saying, just talk about the last weekend. You guys scored 51 runs against Maine. Just talk about, the crowd. That was your first time there in, being the head coach of LSU.
Correct.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. It was an amazing environment. Kind of one of the things that drew me here is how many people care about LSU baseball. I think it's a one-of-a-kind program in terms of the support we have. It felt like an Omaha game. Having been in Omaha twice, your heart kicks a little bit faster in that first inning with all those people in there. And in a regular season game, it's the closest thing I've ever seen to it was opening night. And tip of the cap to our fans, Saturday and Sunday, they showed up strong as well. I think we had 32,000 people over the 3 games. And it was a great environment. Our guys backed it up with their play. And really all I want to do is a team that is very easy to get behind in terms of how we play the game.
Sorry about that. We had something fall off the desk here. Yeah, so this weekend you're going to be home against Towson and Southern University. Just talk about Southern is a team that you haven't played against as a coach, but LSU has played them a couple of years down the road there. So what do you see with the team that's basically 10 minutes from your campus?
Yeah, I know they got a new coach, and Coach Crenshaw is working hard. I've had good communications with him on logistical things. I know they won a couple games this weekend. We kind of have our eyes focused on tomorrow night. We're up at Louisiana Tech right now, and then trying to get our guys in the discipline of taking things one at a time. But I think it's great to have another good Division I program in Baton Rouge. Southern was in the NCAA tournament last year. I think it'll be a good weekend of baseball out of the box.
Hey, Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, I wish you were on, Coach. I have on an LSU shirt, in honor of your appearance. So, now you have an exceptional second baseman in Cade Doty, who was SEC Player of the Week, who had 2 home runs, 12 RBIs, and batted over 550. And you actually brought over someone from Arizona who is going to produce an LSU. So tell us about your incredible player, Jacob Berry.
Yeah, I mean, both those guys. First with Cade, it was great. He was SEC Player of the Week, and feel like he hasn't been recognized maybe the way some of our other guys are, maybe with some of the preseason accolades and all those kinds of things. But as I'm watching fall baseball, he's one of the best players on our team and one of the best players in the country. So it's great to see Cade get off to a good start. Really all he does is hit line drives, plays great defense at multiple spots, and is a good leader and good worker and positively influences everybody on the team. So that's Cade. And then with Jacob, obviously I got to see it firsthand last year at Arizona. Was National Freshman of the Year, 41 extra base hits, a ton of RBIs. I think he led the Pac-12 in RBIs. High character guy, hard worker, always doing extra on his own, and got off to a nice start as well. And it's exciting to put those two guys along with, Trey Morgan and Dylan Cruz up there at the front of the lineup.
That's true. Well, Coach, thanks for coming on tonight on the short notice, and good luck this weekend against the, I guess it's Tigers and Jaguars. Yeah.
Very good. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks so much.
Sir. Yes, sir, right. Coach. Appreciate it.
Sorry about the noise there, folks. We have a big rat, in the studio here. I had to call the exterminator. Okay, so Shelby's going to be joining us shortly. Let's get another after 6 games of tonight's first round of the Tournament of Champions out there in Akron, Ohio. This gentleman, Dick Allen, is in first place.
Yep. Yeah.
Allen.
It'll be really good to see fans back at Riviera Lanes after, since they couldn't go last year because of COVID. I know everyone's looking back, to going back to Fair Lanes, where the traditional home of the Tournament of Champions has been for a long, long time. Think back to the men that have won that event, names like Pete Weber and Walter and Marshall Holman, and some of the legends in Scott. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere, and you can catch all the action Sunday at 1:00 on Fox with Rob Stone, Randy Peterson. And it'll be good to see Kimberly Pressler back on the telecast after, she wasn't there for the U.S. Open due to an illness. So I know she's looking forward, to being back with all the fans as well.
Yeah. So let's finish up the show here. Let's bring in we had this gentleman on before the pandemic, and I had him on the week before the pandemic, and everything got shut down in 2020. So I haven't got him on in a year and a half. So let's bring in Shelby Mast, who does a lot of bracketology. Hi, Shelby. How you doing?
No, good. How about you?
Doing good. Thanks for coming back on. I haven't talked to you in a year and a half because the last time I talked to you, everything got shut down, and we were looking at fake tournament games, and see who was going to be winning what. So let's talk about the field so far. Let's talk about that Michigan situation that happened over the weekend. Is there any repercussions going on? Like, I know Howard, is suspended until the start of the Big Ten. Does that stuff really affect the team, and does that affect the bracketology people? Saying like, what do you think?
doesn't affect us. We'll have to
Okay.
see how the team reacts and plays with a backup coach. It's Phil Martelli. He's been around the block. He's been, he's coached St. Joseph's in the tournament many times. I think that's it's good to have a good backup like that. The thing that'll get them the most, I think, is they have players that are suspended, and so they'll have to make do without them.
Exactly. Yeah, they were on one of the bracketologists. So I don't know if you have it. They had the last four in. Michigan was in with North Carolina, Memphis, and Creighton. So I don't know. Does that look similar to what you think, or what do you think the first four in, the last four in?
I've got SMU, Michigan, San Diego State, and Indiana. So pretty close.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about around here. We have the Towson Tigers. The men's team is 20-7. I know they're probably in first place in the CA, but they don't do really well in the tournament. Can they get an at-large bid with their record, or do they just have to win the whole thing, in DC?
They're gonna have to win the conference tournament. They've got a very nice record, but it's against lesser competition. They really haven't played anybody, and that's what the committee looks at is the big wins you have, and they don't have any.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the ACC. It's been every week. It's like one team's like in their first place, and then all of a sudden they get knocked off, and then they got another team in first place. They knock them off. It seems like who wants the ACC title? It's like, show me number one. So let's talk about Duke is being like every year Duke. Ever since Coach K has been coached, they've been winning 20 games, and they've always been at March Madness, and they've always been in tournament games. What other teams in the ACC you might be surprised? Can a Florida State squad that's been struggling? Can they turn it up up in Brooklyn and make a run?
I don't think so. They look like they've quit on the season. I don't know why. They have a lot of talent, but they just aren't playing like they want to play. Wake Forest is pretty good. Notre Dame, really watch Notre Dame because they're flying under the radar, and they're tied for first place with Duke. I think that's the one team that could give them problems. North Carolina is close, and Miami, I think, will be in. It's a maybe, though. It's weird to say that the ACC is only going to get about 4, maybe 5 teams in, but that's the reality of it this year.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I am in North Carolina. I live in North Carolina, so obviously I'm a Tar Heel fan. So it's like, North Carolina just beat Louisville last night. 20 wins for first-year head coach Hubert Davis. So where do you have the Tar Heels now in your bracket? Will they play the first 4? Which region do you think they'll go to if they get in?
That's decided by the top 4 teams in each region. So it's difficult to speculate on that. But I've got them as my first team out right now.
What?
They still do. They don't have the big wins that a lot of the other programs do. They just haven't beaten anybody yet. And one game they're playing lights out, and another game they're losing by 20. So you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. True.
Well, North Carolina basically has to next week play Duke and blow out Duke at Cameron, and that's going to be a game that everybody wants to buy tickets, and it's going to be more than a mortgage.
Yeah, $80,000 for a ticket. I'm not going.
No,
I'll just watch
on ESPN.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So, Shelby, any surprises this year in the tournament? Because I know every year we have these teams, like surprise teams, like Loyola Chicago, and then last year you had UCLA made a run, in the Final Four. Who do you see this might be one of those sleepers? And you may want to keep an eye on that team.
Keep an eye on North Texas and South Dakota State, and maybe Iona. Iona is playing really well, and Rick Pitino is their coach, so they shouldn't be scared of anybody. They'll be a 12 or 13 seed. North Texas is playing very well. I expect them to be a 12 or 11. And South Dakota State hadn't been beaten since December, I think. They're 24-4, and they're out west, so nobody gets to see them. Nobody knows anything about them. but they're a fun team.
That's true. Well, Shelby, thank you so much for coming on. We'll try to get you on before Selection Sunday. Yeah, that
Okay.
week, and we'll go on. We'll see what we see, and because all these tournament games start next week?
Yep.
Conference tournaments next weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the small majors, and then the big guys are March 9th through the 13th. So or even earlier than that. So Shelby, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Shelby Mast, who does a lot of bracketology stuff, on his website. He's on Twitter. Let me give you the Twitter handle real quick before we roll out of here. We get the let's get his Twitter handle here. You can get all his up to date what he does. Shelby does. So let me put it on here. That's his Twitter page, Twitter handle, Bracket WAG. So anyway, well, folks, thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to wrap it up here. Hope you all have a great evening. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for good friend George Bashir for joining us. Adam, thanks for filling in the bullpen.
Yes, sir. Anytime, Chris. Anytime. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And actually, when I heard about all these college baseball guests coming on, I was going to message. I was going to ask if I'd come on anyway, since you were having LSU and Liberty and Southern. So, thanks for the opportunity. And thanks to all our guests. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday night when we have PV Tour Hall of Famer Parker Bowman III joining us. So
yeah, hopefully we'll get him. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get him joined. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday night. It's 7:30. He'll be on at 8:00 right here on the Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. So have a great night, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.